This is Right About Now with Ryan Alford, a Radcast Network production. We are the #1 business show on the planet with over 1 million downloads a month. Taking the BS out of business for over 6 years and over 400 episodes. You ready to start snapping necks and cashing checks? Well, it starts right about now.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Right About Now. It is August 24th, 2024. It's our weekly business news of the week, joined by two of my favorite people we've got here in studio. Brianna Hall.
Hey, guys.
And, of course, my Kimasabe, my good buddy, Chris Hansen. What's up?
What's up? What's up, Brianna? What's up, Brian?
Hey,
Happy
living
Friday.
the dream. Hey, the show must go on. I've been a little under the weather. Brianna's been rocking it. Sager's been rocking it. The team's like keeping things afloat while I'm down and out. But hey, I made it back for the end of the week here.
Holding down the fort.
It's going around, apparently.
I know.
Little stomach bug, flu.
Yeah, whatever it is. No stomach bug, just all kind of, I don't know, headache and just a little tired and all that stuff. But feels good. I binge watched Outer Range. If you're listening, you get into, I don't watch much TV anymore. Don't have time, but kids, work, jobs, boating. It's about all I can fit in. And so I really got into it. Outer Range, watched the first 2 seasons, binged through it over 2 days, and now it's canceled. I'm like, of course. So if you're listening and you've watched that show, I bet you liked it because like the ratings were like really high. But it was clearly very well produced, beautiful, felt like Yellowstone with a sci-fi edge. But I was like, when I was watching, I was like, this was not cheap to film. And sure enough, they said it was like, it did well, but cost too much to make. And like get into something, So anyway, highly recommended here on Right About Now, Outer Range. So Yellowstone with a twist. How's the week been, Chris?
We're cranking. We're cranking down here in Miami. We're good.
Yep. I like it. Brianna, how are we today?
We're great. We're loving Greenville.
Yeah, all moved in. Congratulations to Brianna. She's a next time, another time homeowner.
Yeah.
Here in G Vegas.
I'm super excited to be here, and now I'm a local. So
local. Yes, she got on that California exit train to Old South Kakalaki. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that?
Southern
Kakalaki,
sayings.
South Carolina. There's so many sayings. G Vegas, yeah. South Kakalaki.
I've been sending my family Southern business titles because on my driving, around, I see things like squirrel towing. I'm like, what? Oh
yeah, gotta have some squirrel towing. It's better than a different kind of towing, but Chris, what's happening in Miami this week?
Nothing, man. It's freaking summer. It's just raining every afternoon. It's hot, steamy.
Yeah, hot and steamy. I like it.
Hot and steamy.
The Democratic convention's been this week. And you know what? Guy that's going to come on the show here in a few weeks, Ryan Stewman, made a good point to me yesterday. And he's like, I'd stay. You wouldn't know it the last few weeks. I stay out of politics more than I'm in it. But, sort of made my feelings known. Was just couldn't take some of that's been happening. But in general, he said, you know what? You know why the Democrats are having a better convention than the Republicans did? He said, because they don't talk about anything important. They just get into emotions. Everything's about feeling. He's like, Stevie Wonder gets up there and says absolutely nothing, but it's so like emotional driven. He's like, I know why all the women vote Democratic. He's like, and I know why a lot of the men now vote Democratic because they're all betas anyway. And he's like, but he's being serious. He's like making a point. He's like, I think they've probably done a better job than Republicans. The Republicans get up there and talk about all the facts, the percentage and the data and all this stuff that we know and that we're talking about. But the Democrats get up there and talk about all this stuff, emotional and energy and vibes and like all this stuff. And he's like, they're probably having a better convention, like, because they know how to make people feel something, even if it's fake. And I was like, he made a good, it pained me to acknowledge that he was right. I mean, it does seem that way a little bit. It's like Oprah Winfrey gets up there and,
You got Hollywood. It's very Hollywood.
It is Hollywood.
And even I was talking to my own family. They kind of even said the same thing. They're like, it just seems so overly produced, you know?
Yeah.
But you're right. It's all emotion, not much on the data and the numbers and the policy.
It's a lot of sizzle and not a lot of steak, but sizzle sells sometimes until you have to live with what you bought. You know, you like the way it looked, you like the way it smelled, but then when you take a bite of it, it tastes like it's like, but some people get enamored by the outer coating, right? Have you watched any of it?
Shiny object.
My thought process is that the DNC is, doing so well because all the people there are not at work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's why the RNC, all of the people who are Republican are at work doing their jobs. That's why we care about the data.
Yeah. Well, we're going to care about something if these prices don't come down and inflation doesn't come down, more consecutively. And it is still quite a mystery to me, the coronation of Kamala and Tim Walz. Like it's just, I just don't understand the popularity of it. But because even if we were doing a popularity contest, they just would not be the most popular people.
Did you see Tim Walz's son? There was a video of him crying, pointing at his dad and being like, "That's my dad. That's my dad."
Well,
It was very
emotional.
Hollywood. Yes, it was very emotional.
Yeah, they do Hollywood well. So, but in the real news, GM lays off 1,000 salaried software and services employees. It says they're laying off 1,000 salaried employees globally in its software and service division following a review to streamline operations. The layoffs include roughly 600 jobs at General Motors Tech Campus near Detroit. Job cuts represent about 1.3% of the company's global salaried workforce. So layoffs at multiple places. Cisco's laying off 7% of its workforce. Intel cutting 15,000 jobs. Paramount reducing U.S. workforce by 15%. MasterCard laying off 3%. Sonos cutting 6% of jobs. So that's a lot of jobs. So I did see where there was a recorrection of like 800,000 jobs or something. I mean, 80,000, I mean, adding a zero. But I think if we add in what I just said there, it's close to 800,000. So all these job losses, how is that going to be positive at the end of the day?
Well, I mean, what I would say is if you look at Biden's former campaign and everything that he says, he talks all about all of the jobs that he created and how great the economy is doing. But then if you look at these articles, that's not the case.
No. And a lot of those jobs were just jobs added back that were lost during COVID. And now we're trimming back to sort of reality. So, I'm waiting for the glimmer of good data that makes me go, I was wrong about what Biden and Kamala are doing. I'll eat that. I'll eat that soup. I'll drink that soup, humble pie, whatever you want to call it. But so far, none of the data is supporting that. It's just, we're just happy. Pride, policies, don't matter. Just popularity. Chris, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, it's not a good sign. And I think this is a lot of industry. And I also think AI is playing a part in this. I think it's something that's happening almost regardless of administration. I think this is going to start happening. I specifically remember the Biden administration, bringing back factory jobs and blue collar. Like that was especially Detroit, right? That was, I feel like, one of their big battlegrounds. I mean, I remember they had a rally there with like 100 Jeeps because they had some deal with Jeep and auto manufacturing. So these numbers definitely don't reflect a positive for anyone in that industry. So, dude, it's just more negative data, right? Like I would love to see positive numbers no matter who's the administration in power, but it's not good. It's not a good thing at all.
No, I'm waiting for it. I mean, and you would think the way they control the media that if there was good numbers, they'd be putting them out there, but they're not coming in. And so, and I agree with you on the AI front. I mean, AI is going to have an impact. It is having an impact. And some of these companies are getting leaner because they were kind of fat and happy. So that's going to happen.
Sure.
But it's just more like if we're going to market all these jobs, like you said, Chris, that we're adding back, let's just be specific about, the impact that we're really having versus what we're selling. And that's really sort of what the premise here is overall. Let's get past the politics, the slogans, all this stuff, and get down to the raw data. Like where are we adding jobs? Where are we lowering interest rates? What's bringing costs down? Let's stop fighting one of our biggest industries, oil and gas, for the new green steel deal. Excuse me, a little Freudian slip, and like really get behind what it takes to moving the economy forward. And so, I don't know. I think the news is going to be a little muddy, to say the least, before it gets better. It's not really business news, but I saw these impeachable offenses from Biden, pretty much selling access and some China stuff. I mean,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I don't want to go down to all these theories and all this. It's just when you go back to like all the stuff that happened with his son and the laptop and all that stuff that was all peddled as fake news and all peddled as not real. And then 94% of it ended up being exactly what they said it was. And it's like, but then when they peddled the collusion of Russia with Trump, 94% of it ended up being wrong. And so it's just like, Donald Trump Jr. posted this graphic and it's like, 94% of the coverage by mainstream historic media, ABC, CBS, NBC, for Kamala has been positive, and 89% of it for Trump and the Republican committee or convention has been negative. It's like if you are on the right, if you're whatever we're going to decide, you're fighting all this media and all these dollars and all these eyeballs that are getting painted a picture. And it's never been, and I don't know, like I think about this stuff a lot. Now, maybe you're listening and, I'm in my mid 40s now and like, is it always been this way? And I just am old enough now that I'm paying attention to it, and I own businesses and all that. Or has it really just gotten this bad to where mainstream media is so far on one side or the other? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe we've been tainted our entire lives by the media, but it just seems like it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. Is that a forever thing? Is the media? I guess some people would tell you the media has always been liberal.
I was thinking the same thing yesterday, like, because right now we're like, oh, the world is so weird and it's crazy. And I wonder that too, was there a time in my parents' life that they felt they were in, this divisiveness and stuff like that? I mean, I definitely think it's a weird time. It feels very Hunger Game-ish almost.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I don't think it was ever this bad years and years ago, when it was, I think the most controversial thing that we had was Bush. Was it Bush versus Obama?
Yeah.
Gay marriage.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's kind of when everything started.
Yeah.
It's also when the rise of the computers and everybody having, phones and access. So I think that there is something to be said for like over-connectedness. We're so connected. We've never been meant to be this connected before. And we're so connected that everybody takes everything that they see online as fact, and whether it's right-sided or left-sided. So I think you really have to follow some independent journalism. You really have to be interested in unbiased coverage. You really have to take, an open mind with both sides to kind of find the middle ground to be, not crazy radical either way.
Yeah. And that's where I struggle to find the data points and not the sizzle. It's just, I'm not going to my beliefs just don't align with, making non-normal things normal, and with, the direction of the economy overall is just not positive. And this sort of fight against capitalism and over-regulation. And so I watched this video that it's like Phil Donahue passed away this week, like the original talk show, host. And he had a guy on who he was questioning because Phil Donahue leaned left. And the guy, and I forget his name, so I apologize. But anyway, go look at my stories, or maybe I'll repost it or like save it or something. But he was talking about like all the facts that supported, like if you go look at, everyone wants to, fight capitalism, but it's been proven to be like the only method with which true growth happens. That because no matter what, the world is, people are individually greedy. And it's like, if you think, comet Sovietism, Sovietism and like is good for the economy, then you're fooling yourself because it's like, it doesn't generate jobs. The only way to generate growth is for there to be an open market and there to be capitalism and less regulation, because because you don't get lazy, you don't get complacent, you're not relying on this stuff, so that enough innovation shines through. Smart people, driven people, Elon Musk or whoever, the revolutionary people are allowed to shine, that then bring thousands and thousands of jobs and opportunities. Because if you collapse all of that and you try to make it, everything even, do all this, then you stall innovation and ideas that generate and springboard growth. And I was like, this guy like described it better than anyone I'd ever heard, because you don't have anything if you have everyone stalled and not like allowed to sort of bring ideas and be motivated by sort of that own self-interest to start. But that own self-interest creates compounding effects of positive things once it's unleashed. I don't know. It's fascinating.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking of my medical business, the laboratory, right? And I think, all right, the government's in control of pretty much what we get paid from the insurance companies or Medicare. They cut rates every year. And any doctor will tell you this, that it's becoming less and less profitable to be a physician and practice medicine, which to a degree is going to drive you less to work harder, right? But I look at our instance, we do lab testing, specialized lab testing. If our rates weren't getting cut and we had more profit, we could do more research and development. We could look into new technologies, new tests that can help people, cancer testing, genetic testing, all these things. Because the government is cutting our pay, or raising taxes, we're less innovative. We can't explore that stuff because it's more about just keeping the business running. That's where I think, and Ryan, you could relate this with your marketing company, or we could talk about this with Vacay. Vacay, it's like, okay, gas is more, so shipping costs more. So therefore we have to raise what you're paying for our product more. I mean, everything, just that example, right? For our gummies. All right, well, even to get the raw materials, that requires that being transported. I really think you have to break it down to people to fully understand how this all connects.
Yeah.
It's like really, and for guys like you and I, real business guys, where of course I've always been more conservative, maybe libertarian, but definitely pro-business, because I know, how many employees do you have, dude? Like, real question, how many, 15 probably or something?
Across the world, we have probably
more than that.
17, 18, 20 total people that work for the company.
Right.
And in the US, roughly 10, so it's like half and half. But it's like, so, and growing every day. I mean, we have a couple offers out as we speak. So, but I'll say this, and I mean, my team's in the room, they know this, I'll say it. We started the agency. I've been in the agency business 20 plus years, and started the agency we're 7.5 years old. I looked back at some of the data. So, I could hire sort of an entry level person in marketing that may or may not have a degree, but was qualified in something, $30,000 to $35,000, around there for starting salary. Well, now everyone wants 45 or 50, and they're pretty much getting it. And I look at what I'm charging the clients, what they're willing to pay, what they have the budget to pay for. And it is not like, it might've gone up 2%, maybe. And in a lot of cases, like it's gone down. Like the clients aren't willing to pay more for the services, but yet my costs are up 15, 20%. So our margins are just down, period.
Because the first thing that your client is going to do is drop their marketing budget when cash flow is not coming in, right? I would say that's probably the number one thing people look to cut when business is slow. But like you said, your editors, your graphics people, they're not charging less because of inflation. They got to charge more because their rent's higher.
I got to pay them, and I want to pay them more because I know what it costs to live, and so I'm happy to pay it. But at the same time, I go, we're just making less money. I mean, it's just less margin, period. And sometimes we don't make money, but we keep the engine going. And so, all in all, it's good. But it's like, I'm not able to charge clients more for the services that we do than I was 7 years ago, for the most part. And some of those things have evolved, but everything else costs more. All the supplies, everything we use, the software, everything's gone up. The cost of labor's gone up. But my fees, and I kind of said this last week indirectly, but talking about it more specifically, all the outs have gone up and the ins are about the same.
Same.
It's about 15% up on the outs and like 2 or 3% up on the ins. So you can do the math, from there.
I think it's industry wide too. Like, I don't think it's, I think it's worldwide because I had this same experience in California. I ran a business out there. You have to keep increasing the salaries of your employees to keep them happy. In California, we had an issue where they made it this year in 2024 to where any fast food worker minimum wage was $20 an hour. So if you were paying over $20 an hour, owning a business, thinking like, wow, I'm doing good. I'm paying these people, $5-6 an hour more than minimum wage. Well, now all of a sudden they can get paid $20 an hour to go work at McDonald's or Starbucks or any of those. And so it became, now that you have to pay $30 or $40 an hour to get good people and get them to stay and to work hard. And so, as a small business owner and having a ton of business owner friends in different industries, I think everybody's feeling it. Construction, marketing.
Yeah, I mean,
because you can't compete with the corporations.
Yeah. And I think everybody thinks, well, it just assumes that we've been able to charge more. I'm sure even some of my employees that, I was surely charging more than what it would. Not in most cases, no. What I could charge some clients $3 or $4 grand or 30 grand, whatever it was. It's not magically 6 or 7 now, and now 40, 50, 60 grand. No, I'm looking at some of the proposals and I'm like, we're not making, revenue might be higher, but margins are way lower.
I think inflation is just killing every industry, nationwide.
Yeah. And but it's just reality. And then they talk about cap and prices, doing all this stupid shit like that. That's going to work. And grocery stores margins are like 1.8%. So they're not making any money. I mean, Kroger makes, $3 billion, whatever in revenues, but they make 1.8% on that. So it's a volume game for them. You got to open 400 stores to make any kind of real money. And so, because their costs are just that high, it's not like their margins have tripled. I mean, there's some industries that are, the chip makers and like some of that stuff. Yeah, they're making their margins, they're banking. But some of the everyday goods that we're talking about, the cost of, it's not like the corporations are making more money, because that's what the Democrats and a lot of they'll paint that picture that, corporate greed. And there is some of that some places, but it's not where
from their donors.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then I think about, Kamala's raised more money supposedly than anyone in history. Allegedly. And maybe she has, but I'm just like, could we just put all that towards, a charity or something? Because when she loses, won't it just be wasted dollars? What impact on the economy would that $1 billion that she's going to get donated to her campaign have had towards something positive? Anyway, I digress. It'll be really interesting. This episode releases on Friday, but a little RFK Jr. news coming today. So if you're listening, you might have already heard it. Will that shift the election?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I think there's a lot of people that were, Was he going to win? No. But I think he had a substantial voter base.
He has a big following. Yeah, he's got a big camp behind him, I think.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know. I love RFK Jr. I definitely follow his politics. I like him as a person and what I see with him online. And so, it's exciting for me. I follow a lot of independent journalism that covers him and his family. And, he has ravens. So if you follow him on social media, he has these 2 ravens that he has trained. So anyways, I digress. But I think it will. I think it'll shift the election.
What do you think, Chris?
I think he's got a lot of power in I look at him like he's more of a legacy politician, right? His name has weight. People like my family, right? Like your older generation feel safe with him. I think it'll sway. I definitely think because he's been big on, the medical stuff, the vaccine schedules. He was part of a documentary, I want to say 10 years ago, talking about, pharma and vaccines and whatnot. So I think that also gives him a lot of weight now, where he was kind of ahead of the game with that whole thing, kind of preaching from the rooftops about us needing to take a look at that and pharma's control in our U.S. politics. So I think good advocate. And I say that because a lot of people critiqued how Trump handled the vaccine rollout and whatnot. So I think you're going to get a lot of people from maybe that camp that if he gives them the green light, then they're like, all right. And I agree with it. I mean, I like RFK. He's a little bit more balanced probably than Trump, but he could not have won. Definitely couldn't have won.
No, wasn't going to win, but I like a lot of his policies, and I believe
for sure.
So, I mean, so he'll be potentially endorsing Trump. Well, I can tell you who I'm absolutely endorsing, and that's Brandon Bills, the official merchandise sponsor of Right About Now and Ryan Alford. Look, I mean, I'm not even wearing it today, but it would all match. I mean, look at this thing. I got the green shirt on. We got the green logo. It's all about branding. It's all about alignment. And I'm in alignment, and I officially approve this message, which is you need to get your brand on the Branded Bills gear, sweatshirts, hoodies, T-shirts, and of course, you come and you stay for the hats. The official merchandise sponsor of Right About Now. Go to brandedbills.com, click that custom button, and let me tell you, you'll thank us for it. You'll approve this message as well, because you will get your brand on the most premium hats, hoodies, and T-shirts in the country. And we love them as the official sponsor of Right About Now. And I approve this message. Just telling you, love me some Brandon Bills. It'll be interesting how it all plays out. I do think it's well played, because with the convention, it'll brunt a little bit of the momentum coming out. So if it happens today, good timing, because it just seems like everything kind of get the media, the attention that's been behind the DNC. So will be fascinating. And look, I'm just telling you, if you want the economy to improve, Trump, RFK Jr., and Musk, these are the people you want thinking and operating about the business and the economy. These are smart, intellectual people that understand how business works. And our world is a lot more than business. But at the end of the day, it takes economy to fund the military, to fund all these other things. So
we're a corporation. Yeah. America's a corporation. It blows my mind to think you're going to have a government prosecutor be in charge of balancing a budget. I don't know if anyone knows lawyers, or I've met plenty of public defenders and prosecutors. They're good at what they do, but they're not business people. It's crazy to me. America is a business. We're importing, exporting goods. It's all about dollars and cents. To have someone who's never balanced a checkbook of even a small business is insane. Completely insane.
Agreed. And
that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I just won't ever get it until I hear, I don't know, specifics
You're not
out of
emotional
their
enough
mouth.
to get it, Ryan.
I'm not emotional enough to get it, I guess.
You're not biting on the emotional brainwashing and PSYOP.
No.
That's really what it is.
Yes, exactly right.
The PSYOP called Hollywood.
It is Hollywood. It's total Hollywood show is what it feels like, But being someone, men are kind of this way anyway, black and white. Brianna and I have this conversation. I'll be like, just say it. Like, just tell me.
Just speak straight.
Just speak straight. Like the side talk, I just can't, like, just tell me like it is. Like, don't, my wife will like beat around the bush or something. I'm like, just say it, honey. Like, like say it, don't spray it. And it's all that with their party. It's like, I'm not a very emotional guy anyway. So like, just, you're not going to get me with this sappy stuff. You got to get me with, hit me with the facts, the policies. What you going to do?
Feels like a high school pep rally.
Yes, it is. It is on a national scale.
For the art and drama kids.
Yeah, with $12 billion behind it.
And with some explicit content.
Yeah, and it's funny, all this stuff's going on. We talk about all this stuff, and then potentially every person in the U.S.'s Social Security number got leaked this week. We almost missed that, even in this news discussion. No big deal. Like
comforting.
But that's what's back to, the sizzle and the steak. We've been talking about a lot of the sizzle, but the steak of like some of the stuff that's happening, no big deal. And Chris, I'm gonna let you talk to the conspiracy theory on that.
My thoughts on that.
Yeah.
The minute I saw this news article pop up, 200 million, whatever it was, right? Social Security numbers hacked. I'm like, what easier way to get everybody on a new system, right? We know they're working on the central bank digital currency system, the social credit system, which is already implemented in China. Call me crazy to talk about this, but this is real. And research this. I just think it's the typical, like, create the problem, present the solution. Okay, everyone's things hacked, everyone's freaked out. Now we have a new ID system tied to your digital currency and your social credit, etc. That's what I think this is ushering in.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Time will tell.
I love a good conspiracy. I really do.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, guys.
I mean, I think it's, it's kind of fishy. It's weird that it's happening right now, in a couple months away from the election. And I also think, we have been in this kind of like touch and go place with Social Security for a long time. People say Social Security is going to run out at some point. It's not going to be there when our kids need it. Yada, yada, yada. So to Chris's point, what is this ushering in? Is this ushering in a new digital currency? Is this ushering in some kind of like way to monitor spending? I mean, as you guys know, right, like we've gotten things in place on Venmo and Cash App and whatever else. So you can't even buy, a couch on Facebook Marketplace without paying the government anymore. So it is what it is.
You can't purchase anything without it being tracked and traced now.
Yeah.
I mean, and then being fed to a marketing company that's going to target you with ads. Everything's so intertwined now.
Yeah. So I'd be really interested to see 6 months from now what happens with this breach. And also now I'm going to go check my credit report.
Yeah. Business Insider released the 10 worst states to live in. I hate to admit one of them that's on here.
South Carolina, baby.
Yeah, of course.
But Greenville itself is a gem, right?
Yes. It says each state's affordability, economy, education, and health, quality of life, and safety. Okay. Number 10 was Arizona. Number 9, we won't get into each one. Number 9 on the list was Oregon. 8 was South Carolina. It says if you're looking for a state with a low cost of living, affordable housing, and property taxes, South Carolina was ranked 10th, makes it an attractive spot. It says, however, you may want to turn elsewhere if you're a parent in a good school district, quality education, and healthcare are high on your priority list. So it's more of the
tell that to your wife,
education.
Ryan.
Yeah, I know. Well, exactly.
I don't think she'd like that opinion.
Like that.
It's principle.
Yeah, I know. Number 7, Oklahoma. Number 6, Mississippi. These are all falling in the South, right? Nevada. Yeah. Number 5, worst states. Number 4, Alaska. Who wants to live in Alaska anyway, right? Number 3, Arkansas. These are all in the Southern Belt, aren't they? Number 2, New Mexico. Okay, well, that one makes sense. These are all like lined up number one. Who do you think last number one?
California.
No, it's following that belt that I was on in the South. Louisiana,
Tennessee.
number one. Yeah.
Louisiana.
So you got Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, all in there. Yeah, and then South Carolina.
Who wrote this article?
Business Insider. You know.
Yeah. California should be number one.
California should be number one. I agree.
I don't see people fleeing New Mexico like they are California.
It said this about South Carolina. One reason the state does poorly in healthcare is it's home to many rural areas with limited access to healthcare. It's true. I mean, you drive through South Carolina. I mean, you're going through some rural areas. I mean, like, there's barely a gas station, much less a
I would like them
doctor's
to
office.
note on that article the reason that healthcare is so bad because our food is so delicious.
Exactly. Because, you don't need it when you're eating healthy. It would be interesting to rank Greenville outside of this and maybe like Charleston. You know, Greenville and Charleston,
of course,
would be complete anomalies probably to this. Would probably because they're amongst like the fastest growing cities in America, small cities growing in America. So, it's kind of a.
Greenville's its own thing. I mean, I'm in a Facebook group, multiple, but one of them is conservative girls who moved from California to South Carolina. And there's no joke.
Quite
like
a title.
There's like 250 women in this group who moved from California to Greenville County.
You need to invite my sister to that group and recruit her back to the East Coast. Get her out of Cali and back in the South.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll send her an invite.
Lastly, today, it's kind of scary if you're a Disney Plus customer. So a couple was eating, I guess, at a restaurant in a Disney theme park and had a allergic reaction to the meal, and she ended up passing away. And supposedly, allegedly, because they had signed a Disney Plus agreement saying that they would enter arbitration or not sue Disney at all in any way, shape, or form. That was the argument that Disney was come back with. It looks like it's going to get thrown out. But anyone that's a Disney Plus customer and you've signed that agreement, don't go thinking you can sue Disney if something like really tragic were to happen on their property or otherwise. You know, I don't like litigious stuff, and I don't like overregulation, but this feels like a leap. You know, like a lawyer shoving yet one more thing in the T's and C's on something and hoping it just covers the blanket of everything. What do you think?
I mean, dude, it's not like Disney can't write a check, you know?
No, I know.
Seems like a bad PR play more than anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Just like write the check.
The lady was also a doctor, I believe. And, it's just really interesting to think that they can, throw those under the terms and conditions and then not, be held accountable for a mistake that cost her life.
Yeah. And, read those terms and conditions. Like page 46, we told you can never sue us. So we're
Next
covered.
time you want to stream Star Wars, be careful.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get to this stage where like there's going to be terms and conditions, like when you become a friend, like if I friend you, like here's the T's and C's I need you to sign if you're going to be my friend. Like you will not leak anything to social media. You will not talk bad about me behind my back.
I mean, I'm for this.
If I accidentally poison you when I have you over to my dinner table, I didn't mean to, and you will not sue me. Like lawyers would just love that, right? It's like, oh, Jesus. Anyway.
Ooh, an interesting tidbit about lawyers following that I think is relevant is, we've been kind of talking a little bit about the NAR lawsuit for realtors. It's a nationwide lawsuit affecting all realtors. There are now words based on this lawsuit. There are words that that realtors are no longer allowed to use when advertising their services or posting a video or posting a reel or doing social media marketing. Included on the words they're not allowed to use are the word bonus. So they can't advertise a bonus room or a bonus space.
Oh.
They can't use the word bonus. They can't use the word offer.
Okay.
So if you want to make an offer on a house, you can't use that word. And then what was another one was like,
give us a proposal.
Yeah, they can't use commission, and they can't use buyer's agent or seller's agent, which is
jeez, bro.
like
this is
whole
what
job.
they did to the medical industry too.
Yeah.
I'm not even some huge realtor fan, but that's just crazy. Like talk about overregulation.
Regulators.
All
Unite.
regulation does is take more money out of your pockets.
Was that G Wayne? What was the name of them?
Regulators.
Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg.
Yeah. Nate
Warren
Dogg.
G.
Warren G. Nate Dogg. Any final thoughts, Brianna?
Have a great week, everybody.
There you go, Christopher.
We're coming into September. Hit the ground running. End of the year is coming soon.
There you go. Policies over popularity, people. You know where to find us, ryanisright.com. Find the highlight clips, all the links to the content, links to social media, links to our sponsors. Go support them. That's how this works. You support them, they support us. We support you. It's a cycle. Chris Barbie Hansen on Instagram. I'm at Ryan Alford. We'll see you next time on Right About Now.
This has been Right About Now with Ryan Alford, a Radcast Network production. Visit ryanisright.com for full audio and video versions of the show or to inquire about sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for listening.